The Expanse has found itself at a new home with Amazon Prime Video, with all 8 episodes of Season 4 just released in December. In this Part 2 episode of a 3-part series, we had the opportunity to visit the Expanse wardrobe in Toronto, Canada, with a complete tour and interview with series costume designer Joanne Hansen.
Right. So Joanne, hi. Thank you so much for the tour. It was really amazing.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So I just wanted to know a little bit about you, though. Like, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you decided to get involved in costume design?
I'm a backdoor costume person, I guess you could say. I come from Alberta, and I started by a friend of mine was working on a commercial, and could I sew a little bit? And yes, I could sew a little bit. And so I went in to help and walked on a set and had that eureka moment of this is where I need to be. And it just kind of went from there. So Alberta is a place of it's really location driven, and when I started there were a lot of large American productions that came in, and I was able to work under some great American designers and experience that kind of world in that way, and yeah, I was hooked, and just eventually it just led into design projects of my own, and that's where it's landed.
And then and then what about the Expanse? Like, how did that come about? How did you get involved with it?
I think, oddly enough, I think a background in American Westerns leads you a little bit to science fiction, and I think it's the idea that you're exploring new worlds and those kinds of stories of immigration and settlement and conflict and resolution in a bigger world kind of somehow go together, and I don't think I would have known that until it started. I just sort of fell into this genre from that one, and so this one was of particular interest to me because of its unpolished tone, and that it really was a desire to have the science be real and honest, but not in your face, and it's really the stories that are the most important inside of this future backdrop, I guess.
And so who's sort of like, how did this land on your table or your inbox? Was there someone you were connected to on the show?
I was connected to one of the producers I'd worked with a number of times, and so he sort of forwarded my name and back and forth a little bit, and then I met with all the producers, and those are really stories about whether do they like kind of what you've done in the past, and do they feel like we have some kind of simpatico or ability to communicate and work together as a group. And that was really a two-way street from my point of view, and so I was fortunate enough to join at the beginning, and that's been great.
Now, and how long did you, like when you were first took on this job, did you see this going this far? Did you?
You know, you never know.
Okay.
In honesty, you never ever know, and we knew we were had an incredibly daunting task to create this universe that we were imagining, and whether that would go beyond the first 10 episodes, we had no idea. So we just carried on telling the story as best we could, and each year that we're granted another 10, we get to evolve the story, and it's pretty great. Yeah.
Absolutely. On the world stage, do you feel that Canada doesn't necessarily get the same type of clout as, say, an American production in LA or a production in London? I think that's where I'm going with that.
Okay, so I think there's probably two different things there. What will really be one of the influences is where the project originates, and are you working on an American production, a British production, Canadian production?
And this is an American production. It's not a Canadian.
This is an American production, yeah. I think I don't feel it from my point of view. I think it's really about the show and where where is the story taking it somewhere? Is there a fan base for it? This show, for example, survived because of its fan base despite being canceled. So it's hard to know now where that lies.
But it had a lot of backing. I was saying earlier that like George R.R. Martin came to back it. I know some other very famous people said, you got to save this show. Like kind of like Firefly. People wanted to save it.
Yeah. I think, honestly, I feel like regional barriers are less of a concept now than they have been. I think now that we operate in a world of streamers and internet, the American, British, Canadian is it's not as isolated or siloed as it was.
That's good to hear.
I think that will translate itself into production, into people who work on production.
Now, in terms of the three groups, like the Earth, Mars, and the Belt, we sort of talked a little bit about it, but when you first took on the job, did you say, is that how you broke it down? You broke it down into those three categories and tried to design it that way, or did you try to do it more from a character perspective as opposed to the larger group?
I think this project, because we're in uncharted territory, we understood we were doing a period piece of a period that hadn't happened yet. So in order to place our characters in that period, time, and place, which is what you would do in any production, we needed to think bigger initially. So we needed to really create the main parts of the world and understand how those might evolve. And then once we had a feeling around that, and that it really involved our production designers, set designers, makeup artists, prop people, everybody bringing their ideas to the table and trying to come up with a feel, then we populate our characters, our specific characters in there. And I think we still do that, really. As we prep each season, we really look at the groups again. And it really seems to be the best way to, I don't know, you're understanding the roots of your character.
Now, in like the early days when you were still with sci-fi, like you don't have to talk to me about this unless you want to, but the budgets, were they tighter for you compared to now that Amazon has taken on, or is it sort of the same sort of thing?
I really think it hasn't really affected us, to be honest, in that way.
And how, like, is there a change in terms of how Amazon is compared to sci-fi? Are they still giving you the same type of freedom? Like, how do you feel sort of working under that slightly different setting?
I think we're on this particular show, we're very well supported by our producers, and our immediate creatives are that is the team that moves it forward creatively, and that hasn't changed throughout different managements. That team is the same. So for us, we carry on and we shift and adjust as opinion may have it, or whatever it is. But creatively, it's really stayed the same for us.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's been great.
Now, this might be hard for you, but do you have a stand-up costume that you're like, I love doing that costume, or I love that costume? Is there anything you can think of? I know that's always a hard thing to ask.
I don't know. You know, quite honestly, each of them have their own specialty, and I think it's back to you're creating universes within a universe, and so I think they all have their own kind of special charm and difference to them.
Because a lot of times, especially when it comes to costumes, everybody it's all about the pretty dresses, but the uniforms would probably maybe still have as much love and care put into them.
Yeah, I think as you've seen going around here, really for me it's about the complete package. So it doesn't really matter to me if it's Avasarala or a belter. It's a process that goes through our shop from concept to creation and to dyeing and breakdown and aging. So there is as much beauty in a belter vac suit that we want to portray, having been around for 15 years, and as there is in her orange cape. Essentially, it's the same. The same creative brain trust is putting their creative mind to it, you know. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And finally, don't know if you can say anything about this. So we were just mentioning that you are season 4 is going to be going to air.
Right.
We didn't show any spoilers for season 5.
Right.
But is there anything maybe you can tell us about season 4 coming up, like something that slightly generalized you can share?
Not really. I know you got to try.
I do. It's part of my
I'm
job.
not going to be the one.
It's got to be my job.
I'll talk to Kaz.
Yeah, exactly.
See the trailer.
Yeah, is he the one who has the loose lips?
Yeah. Oh, but he's pretty talkative guy.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate you taking the time
My
today.
pleasure.
It's been so fun. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad you came.
Thank you.
Okay.
Stay tuned for the Expanse Complete Wardrobe Tour, including a peek into Christian Avasarala's closet. In the meantime, you can check out Joanne Hansen's walkthrough of the Expanse costumes. I'll see you in the next video.